R&B singer Angie Stone has died in a car crash. We're told she had just finished a concert in Mobile, Alabama Friday, was heading to Atlanta when the van she was riding in crashed.
The world has lost a true soul music legend. Angie Stone, the voice behind timeless R&B classics, has tragically passed away in a devastating motor accident. Her powerful vocals and heartfelt lyrics touched millions, but behind the fame was a woman who faced countless struggles. From industry battles to personal hardships, she overcame so much, only for fate to cut her journey short. How did this tragedy unfold? What legacy does she leave behind? Join us as we dive into the heartbreaking final chapter of Angie Stone's incredible life. The tragic loss of Angie Stone, a soulful legacy cut short. Angie Stone, a powerhouse of R&B and neo-soul, has left the world far too soon in a tragic turn of fate. The 63-year-old singer, known for her soul-stirring vocals and undeniable impact on music, lost her life in a devastating car crash. The news, confirmed by her daughter, has sent shock waves through the industry, leaving fans and fellow artists reeling. The accident occurred in Alabama while Stone was traveling alongside 9 of her bandmates in a Sprinter van. Reports indicate that the vehicle was struck by an 18-wheeler truck on Interstate 65 just south of Hope Hull in Montgomery County. The collision, which happened in the early hours of Saturday morning, resulted in a major roadway blockage for nearly 4 hours. Tragically, Stone was the only fatality. In the hours leading up to the crash, her daughter, Diamond Stone, who is also a musician, had taken to social media, asking for prayers for her family. Then, in a heart-wrenching update, she simply wrote, "My mommy is gone." The news spread rapidly, leaving fans mourning the loss of a woman who had given so much to the world of music. Angie Stone's contributions to the industry date back to the late 1970s when she first emerged as part of The Sequence, an all-female hip-hop trio that helped shape the early sound of rap music. Their hit Funk You Up became a cultural milestone, making history as one of the first rap songs performed by female artists to gain mainstream recognition. But Stone's legacy didn't stop there. Her career evolved, and she later became a force in the neo-soul movement of the late 1990s and early 2000s, with hits like Wish I Didn't Miss You and No More Rain, In This Cloud. Despite her undeniable influence, Stone often expressed feeling underappreciated within the industry. Those who worked closely with her, like longtime collaborator Mark Green, echoed this sentiment. Green, who had known her since 1978, was in talks with her just days before her passing, planning several upcoming performances. She had no idea how valuable she was to the culture and her peers, Green reflected, devastated by the sudden loss. Angie Stone's final days were filled with performances and engagements, showcasing her unwavering dedication to music. The night before her fatal accident, she had just completed a show in Montgomery, Alabama, and was scheduled to perform at the CIAA basketball tournament in Baltimore the following evening. Her Instagram was excited about future projects, including a heartfelt post dedicated to her Zeta Phi Beta sorority sisters and upcoming performances she was eager to share with her fans. Beyond music, Stone made an impact in the film industry as well. She took on roles in movies like The Hot Chick 2002 and The Fighting Temptations 2003. Sharing the screen with major stars like Cuba Gooding Jr. and Beyoncé, her presence in music and on-screen made her a multifaceted artist who could not be confined to one lane. But behind the music and the bright lights was a woman who faced personal and professional struggles. From co-parenting challenges with fellow singer D'Angelo to navigating the ever-changing landscape of the music industry, Stone's journey was filled with triumphs and setbacks. Through it all, Stone remained dedicated to her craft. She poured her soul into every note, touching lives in ways that words alone could never capture. But what will remain of her legacy? How did her journey truly shape the music world? Stay with us as we explore the lasting impact of Angie Stone's remarkable career. Angie Stone, the unspoken legacy of a music pioneer. They were pioneers and trailblazers in a male-dominated world, yet their names have often been left out of the history books. The Sequence, the first all-female rap group signed to Sugar Hill Records, played a vital role in shaping hip-hop, breaking barriers for women in the genre while simultaneously putting Southern rap on the map. They weren't just making music, they were making history. Despite their groundbreaking contributions, the Sequence never received the recognition they truly deserved. In an interview, group member Angie Stone, then known as Angie B, revealed an unsettling truth. The Sequence played an integral part in crafting two of the biggest records by the Sugar Hill Gang, Apache Jump On It and Eighth Wonder. They wrote those songs, she stated, yet their involvement was downplayed, their vocals replaced, and their influence erased. It was a common theme in the industry, where talent was often overshadowed by politics and power struggles. Still, the Sequence made their mark. Their 8-minute-long single, Monster Jam, became an anthem, with Angie B's commanding voice leading the track. Between 1979 and 1985, the group released 3 albums, producing the hit Funk You Up, a song that would transcend generations. Decades later, it was sampled in major chart toppers like Bruno Mars's Uptown Funk and Dr. Dre's Keep Their Heads Ringing, a testament to their lasting influence. After her time with the Sequence, Stone continued her musical journey, joining the R&B trio Vertical Hold before embarking on a solo career. Her 1999 debut album, Black Diamond, released under Arista Records, climbed to number 9 on the Billboard Top R&B Hip-Hop chart, featuring the hit single No More Rain in This Cloud. Her career only flourished from there. Following industry legend Clive Davis, she moved to his newly founded label, J Records, for her 2001 album Mahogany Soul, which landed at number 22 on the Billboard 200. Stone's music was more than just chart success. It was soul-stirring, deeply personal, and undeniably powerful. Albums like Stone Love, The Art of Love and War, and Dream solidified her reputation as a force in the industry. But her impact wasn't just in her music. She played a crucial role in shaping the sound of others, particularly through her collaboration with D'Angelo. She co-wrote songs for his critically acclaimed albums Brown Sugar and Voodoo, toured as his backup vocalist, and helped mold the neo-soul movement. Recognition finally started to come her way. Over the years, she earned 3 Grammy nominations, won Soul Train Music Awards, and even topped Billboard's Gospel Airplay chart in recent times with her feature on Damon Little's No Stressing. She worked with legendary figures, Prince, Macy Gray, Lenny Kravitz, Ray Charles. The list goes on. Yet even with these accomplishments, her name still didn't always get the respect it deserved. Beyond music, Stone showcased her versatility as an entertainer, appearing in films and television shows. But perhaps her most impactful work outside of music was her advocacy. She openly shared her struggles with chronic illness, using her platform to raise awareness and break stigmas surrounding health issues. Her honesty about her battles inspired many, proving that resilience isn't just about enduring challenges, but about transforming them into purpose. Despite setbacks, financial hardships, public controversies, and personal struggles, Angie Stone remained an emblem of perseverance. Her ability to rise above obstacles and keep moving forward with grace, strength, and an undying love for her craft speaks volumes. Her music told stories of love, pain, and triumph, resonating deeply with audiences who saw pieces of their own experiences reflected in her lyrics. Her legacy is undeniable. She was more than just an artist. She was a voice, a mentor, a mother, and a symbol of unwavering determination. And just as she fought for her place in history, she left a blueprint for others to follow. But as we celebrate her journey, one lingering question remains, a question that leads us to the next chapter of this story. What happens when talent isn't enough? When influence is ignored, and history is rewritten to favor those in power? This is where we enter the professional battle. Angie Stone, the relentless fight for her place in music. Angie Stone's journey in the music industry was anything but smooth. The industry, notorious for sidelining black women over 40, constantly tested her resilience. Despite decades of success, Angie often found herself fighting for recognition. Younger executives, oblivious to her influence, overlooked her for opportunities, offering deals that fell short of what she rightfully deserved. But Angie was never one to back down. She kept pushing forward, whether through starring in reality shows like R&B divas, performing at small yet soulful venues, or mentoring up-and-coming artists who saw her as an inspiration. Even as her health declined and public appearances became less frequent, her voice, rich, powerful, and deeply moving, never lost its magic. In her final months, Angie seemed to sense that her time was running out. Those closest to her recall how she became more reflective, having heartfelt conversations and mending old wounds. She wasn't one for grand gestures or publicized goodbyes. Instead, she embraced the reality with quiet strength, trusting that her legacy would outshine any headline or controversy. But beyond the music, beyond the accolades and performances, Angie Stone was a woman who never hesitated to speak her truth, even when it made powerful figures uneasy. She was more than a singer. She was a warrior who understood the dark underbelly of the music industry, and she wasn't afraid to call it out. Greedy executives, exploitative contracts, and backroom deals that left artists penniless, Angie had seen it all. And while many suffered in silence, she refused to do the same. Her outspokenness wasn't something that surfaced in her later years. It had been part of her spirit from the beginning. From her days in the hip-hop trio The Sequence to her reign as one of the pioneers of neo-soul, Angie never shied away from discussing the marginalization of black female artists. She knew that women like her, those who didn't fit the industry's narrow standards of beauty and marketability, were often cast aside, their talents ignored in favor of more commercial faces. But she didn't just vent behind closed doors. She spoke up in interviews, expressed her frustrations through music, and confronted executives directly. One of her most defining moments came in the early 2000s when she publicly accused her record label of withholding royalties from her biggest albums. The backlash was swift. Almost overnight, certain radio stations stopped playing her music. Major platforms, once eager to promote her, suddenly turned their backs. But Angie remained undeterred. She doubled down, becoming an even louder advocate for black women in the industry. She shed light on predatory contracts that left artists broke despite selling millions of records. Her fearless approach made her a target. It wasn't just record executives who wanted her silenced, it was the entire industry's power structure. Close friends recall chilling warnings Angie received. Anonymous calls advising her to stay in her place and to remember who controlled the airwaves. At first, she dismissed them as nothing more than scare tactics. But soon, she couldn't ignore the consequences. Deals that seemed secure suddenly fell through. Tour sponsors withdrew without explanation. Her albums vanished from streaming services, and collaborators who once praised her talent became hesitant to be associated with her. It was clear, speaking out had cost her. But Angie never regretted it. She had spent her life fighting, not just for herself, but for every artist who had been overlooked, underpaid, and exploited. Her courage came with a price, but it also solidified her place as more than just an artist. She was a voice for the voiceless, a fighter in an industry that thrived on silencing dissent. But what about the battles she faced outside the industry? When the stage lights dimmed and the music faded, what was Angie Stone's life really like behind closed doors? Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into her personal life. Angie Stone, a life of music, struggles, and unshaken strength. From the moment Angie Stone, born Angela Laverne Brown on December 18, 1961, discovered her voice in a South Carolina church choir, Music was her destiny. Raised in a home filled with gospel melodies thanks to her father's quartet, Angie learned early on that music was more than just sound. It was a means of expression, healing, and storytelling. That foundation propelled her into the industry, where she would go on to shape the landscape of R&B and neo-soul. Her first breakthrough came in the late 1970s as part of The Sequence, one of the first female rap groups to gain mainstream success. Their hit single Funk You Up wasn't just a chart success, it was a cultural shift, proving that women could hold their own in the male-dominated world of hip-hop. But Angie's artistic vision extended far beyond rap. As the years passed, she transitioned into R&B, bringing the depth of gospel, the rhythm of soul, and the honesty of real-life experiences into her music. By the late 1990s, her solo career had taken flight with the release of Black Diamond, featuring the soulful hit No More Rain, In This Cloud. The album showcased her signature sound, raw, emotional, and deeply personal. Her success continued with albums like Mahogany Soul and Stone Love, further cementing her status as a powerhouse in the industry. But behind the success, there were battles no one saw coming. Angie's personal life was a storm she often had to weather in the public eye. Her highly publicized relationship with neo-soul singer D'Angelo was filled with passion and complexity. Together, they had a son, Michael D'Angelo Archer II, in 1998. Though their romance ended, her influence on D'Angelo's music was undeniable, particularly in shaping his critically acclaimed album Brown Sugar. Yet, as his career skyrocketed, so did his struggles with addiction and the pressures of fame, something that deeply affected Angie as well. Beyond relationships, health became one of her fiercest opponents. Diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in 1999, Angie faced a daily battle to maintain her health while juggling the demands of her career. She never hid her struggles. Instead, she used her voice to raise awareness, joining campaigns like FACE Diabetes to educate African Americans on managing the disease. Even as complications arose and hospital visits became frequent, she refused to let illness define her, continuing to record, tour, and inspire. But perhaps one of the most painful chapters of her life was the rift with her daughter Diamond. In 2015, a heated argument between them escalated, leading to Angie's arrest. Reports claimed she had struck her daughter with a metal stand, a moment that sent shockwaves through the media. Though she later expressed deep regret, the incident underscored the reality that even the strongest women can have breaking points. Despite their conflicts, love remained at the core of their relationship, woven into the complex bond they shared. Through it all, Angie remained a force, one whose music and message reached across generations. Her artistry, her struggles, and her resilience left an imprint that could never be erased. But beyond the headlines and the music, who was Angie Stone in her most vulnerable moments? How did her daughter, Diamond, truly see her mother beyond the public perception? Stay tuned for a heartfelt tribute by her daughter. A daughter's farewell, love, loss, and redemption. No one could have foreseen the moment that would unfold, a tribute so raw, so deeply personal, that it left the entire room in stunned silence. When Diamond Stone stepped forward to honor her mother, Angie Stone, it was more than just a farewell. It was a reckoning, an unraveling of years of pain and love that had been woven into the fabric of their complex relationship. The world had barely processed the news of Angie's passing before the weight of her absence began to settle in. From the golden era of The Sequence to her reign as a neo-soul icon, Angie had been a voice that carried people through heartbreak, healing, and joy. But now, that voice had been silenced forever. Fans, artists, and admirers gathered to say goodbye, their hearts heavy with grief, yet lifted by the legacy she had left behind. Inside the packed sanctuary, faces both familiar and unknown sat shoulder to shoulder. Music legends who had walked the industry with Angie, young artists who had grown up inspired by her, and everyday fans who found solace in her songs. Everyone had come to pay their respects. There was sorrow in the air, but also celebration, as people shared memories of a woman who had given the world so much through her music and resilience. Yet, the moment everyone had been waiting for, the moment that would redefine how the world remembered Angie, belonged to her daughter, Diamond. Their relationship had been a whirlwind of love and conflict, a story often told through tabloid headlines. Public clashes, private reconciliations, and a bond that had been tested but never fully broken. Would Diamond even be there? And if she was, what would she say? As she took the podium, the room fell silent. Dressed in a simple black dress, her hands trembled slightly as she gripped the microphone. But when she spoke, her voice was steady. She didn't offer a polished eulogy or rehearsed speech. Instead, she told the truth. She spoke of a mother who was as fierce as she was loving, as flawed as she was extraordinary. She admitted the pain, the misunderstandings, the years lost to anger and stubbornness. But more than that, she spoke of the love, the unshakable, unconditional love that had always existed between them. "My mother was my first heartbreak and my greatest teacher," Diamond said, her voice thick with emotion. "We didn't always get it right, but we always found our way back to love." Tears streamed down faces throughout the room, but the true moment of reckoning came when Diamond did something no one expected. She sang. The first trembling notes filled the space, and suddenly the weight of her grief took on a new form. She wasn't just singing one of her mother's most beloved songs. She was pouring out everything left unsaid, every regret, every unspoken apology. But in that moment of raw emotion, as Diamond's voice trembled on the final note, one question remained, one that lingered in the air, pressing against the hearts of everyone present. Because beyond the fame, beyond the music, beyond the public struggles, what did it truly mean to be in a mother's care? Diamond's promise. A legacy reclaimed. Angie Stone's funeral was just the beginning. Days later, her daughter Diamond broke her silence, not with a polished tribute, but with an unfiltered emotional confession. Her words were raw, her pain undeniable. She spoke of the struggle of growing up in her mother's shadow, the weight of comparisons, and the silent battle to find herself beyond the legend. But what no one expected was her revelation. Some of her deepest wounds weren't inflicted by Angie, but by her own self-doubt, a struggle her mother had also known too well. Then came the biggest shock. Before Angie's passing, mother and daughter had started a documentary, a project meant to tell their story in their own words. It was unfinished when Angie died, but Diamond had made a promise. She would complete it, not just for Angie, but for every mother and daughter who had loved fiercely, fought bitterly, and longed for one more chance to make things right. Suddenly the world saw Diamond in a new light, not just as Angie's daughter, but as a woman standing in the crossroads of grief and purpose. Their story had never been neat. There was no perfect resolution, no last-minute reconciliation to wrap their struggles in a bow. Instead, there was something raw and real. Two women bound by love, yet tested by pain. Their relationship tangled in resentment, pride, and the pressures of living under a public microscope. Diamond had lived in the glow of her mother's success, but that light cast shadows too. Every choice she made was measured against Angie's, every mistake magnified. Angie, in turn, carried guilt. The knowledge that the career she built had stolen time from the daughter who needed her most. But beneath it all, love endured, unspoken, yet unshaken. That's why Angie's passing was more than the loss of a mother. It was the loss of every unsaid apology, every unshared moment. No more late-night calls, no more silent hugs, no more second chances. Yet Diamond didn't retreat into grief. She stepped forward, speaking her truth, not to justify herself, but to honor everything, even the pain. She shared both the struggles and the beauty, watching her mother create, feeling pride in her legacy, yet aching to be seen as more than her daughter. And then there was the documentary. Once a shared project, it was now Diamond's mission. Instead of letting it fade, she poured her love, loss, and truth into it. It wasn't just about Angie anymore. It was about both of them. Two flawed, brilliant women, forever bound by blood and love. Has Angie's music, spirit, or story ever touched your heart? If so, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.